trusting them, the UK's most senior doctor has said. Sir Chris Whitty, the Chief Medical Officer for England, told the COVID inquiry he would have been surprised if scientists had included national shutdowns as part of the planning for a pandemic. It's interesting that lockdowns were a key component of the strategy when it wasn't derived from science. Where did it come from then? If scientists weren't proposing it, where did it come from? We all assumed that there was a reason, not an abstract reason, a scientific reason. And this was the one I thought it was. You can't go out because it will lead to the disease spreading more rapidly and killing more people. Therefore, are you willing to compromise and stay in your house? The answer of any sane person is yes, of course. I don't want people to die as a result of my actions. So yeah, I'm happy to stay indoors. Well, that wasn't ever scientific. So what was it then? Let me know in the comments what could have been the idea if it wasn't derived from science. If it doesn't come from science, where does it come from? Giving evidence on the 8th day of the inquiry, I suppose we should be grateful that there is an inquiry. Sir Chris said planning for such an extraordinarily major social intervention would not have occurred unless a minister had requested it. Not suggested, requested, asked for it. Sir Chris said that lockdowns were a leap of imagination. That's not what you want in government, is it? Okay, what are you doing now? I'm just using my imagination to leap around. You're not a poet. It's not Lewis Carroll. It's not Alice in Wonderland, is it? It's not Herman Melville. Wait a minute. What should we do? There's a national crisis. Well, I'm going to go firstly into my imagination. And once I'm in there, I'm going to start leaping and bounding like a poet rather than an administrator who's supposed to use taxpayer dollars or pounds in order to administrate favourably for the people that I was elected to serve. That's what they're meant to be doing, not leaping about in their imagination. He also claimed that a lack of radical thinking had hindered the country's planning for the pandemic. Of course, what this pertains to is the idea that potentially lockdown in some ways may have caused more deaths than they prevented, if not specifically related to the pandemic, then related to heart disease, people missing cancer treatments, people ending their own lives, the impact on mental health and addiction more broadly, diabetes, operations being missed, the list goes on and on and on. It's not a leap of the imagination, it's just someone reading a list of potential consequences that were apparently overlooked, but not for scientific reasons. That's been revealed. So what's the other reason? Tell me in the comments. He became the latest senior figure to admit that the UK had a long-standing bias in favour of influenza when it came to pandemic planning and admitted there should be a separate plan for other types of viruses. So that's a